Tiger Woods never saw this coming. Rory and Scotty are next fire. For more than 2 decades, one name has sat at the top of professional golf's career money list: Tiger Woods. His earnings became a marker of just how dominant he was across his career, spanning multiple eras of the sport. But something is changing now. 2 of the biggest stars of the modern game are closing the distance between themselves and that number. Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler are no longer chasing Tiger from a distant position. They are within reach of him, and the pace at which they have gotten there has surprised many people who follow the sport closely. As of late July 2026, Tiger Woods remained number 1 on the PGA Tour's career money list with about $121 million. Rory McIlroy was sitting second at roughly $116.4 million. Scotty Scheffler was almost right behind him at roughly $116.4 million as well. The gap between Tiger and these 2 players is no longer an unreachable distance. It has become a measurable margin, and it continues to shrink with every tournament that McIlroy and Scheffler play. Tiger's money record. To understand why this situation matters, it helps to look back at how Tiger Woods built this record in the first place. Woods did not simply become one of golf's greatest competitors through skill alone. He changed what was financially possible for a professional golfer. Across years of dominance, Woods won tournaments, collected major championships, and became one of the most recognizable athletes in the world, both inside golf and outside of it. His PGA Tour career earnings eventually reached approximately $121 million, placing him at the top of the official career money list. What makes that number significant is the fact that Woods has not played a full or normal competitive schedule for several years now. Injuries, surgeries, and a reduced playing calendar have limited his tournament appearances considerably since his early career peak. Yet his career earnings have remained at the very top of the list throughout that stretch. That record has survived while an entirely new generation of golfers has entered the sport, matured, and started winning at the highest level themselves. Woods built that total across a career that included dominant multi-win seasons, extended stretches at the top of the world rankings, and a level of tournament participation that far exceeded what he has managed in recent years. Even with a reduced schedule, no player was able to close the financial distance between himself and Tiger for a long period of time. That is part of why the current situation stands out. The gap is not closing because Tiger's total has fallen. It is closing because 2 other players have been adding to their own totals at a pace that outstrips nearly every other competitor on tour. Now the situation is different from what it has been for years. Sitting immediately behind Tiger are 2 players who are still actively competing at the top of the sport, appearing in tournaments nearly every week of the season. Those 2 players are Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler. Rory McIlroy, the established superstar. Rory McIlroy is not a new name to golf fans. He has been one of the sport's most recognizable stars for more than a decade. McIlroy became a major champion at a young age, and over the years that followed, he collected PGA Tour victories at a consistent pace while becoming a global figure in the sport. In 2025, McIlroy finally completed the career Grand Slam by winning the Masters, a tournament that had eluded him for years despite his other major championship wins. Then, in 2026, he returned to Augusta National and defended that green jacket. That achievement made McIlroy only the 4th player in Masters history to successfully defend the title, joining Jack Nicklaus, Nick Faldo, and Tiger Woods in that specific group of champions. That victory was McIlroy's 6th major championship overall. It also pushed his PGA Tour career victory total to 30. Rory is not simply chasing Tiger financially at this point in his career. He is continuing to build a resume that already places him among the sport's most accomplished players in modern history. There is another detail worth noting from that 2026 Masters win. After winning the tournament, McIlroy's career Masters earnings moved ahead of Tiger's career Masters earnings specifically, within that one tournament's financial category. That does not mean McIlroy has surpassed Tiger's overall legacy in the sport. It does, however, show how quickly the financial landscape of golf has shifted in a relatively short period of time. McIlroy's path to this point has not been a short one. He turned professional in 2007, and by the time he completed the career Grand Slam in 2025, he had already spent close to 2 decades competing at the sport's highest level. That length of tenure is part of why his position on the career money list is not a surprising development on its own. What has changed the conversation around him is the pace at which his earnings accelerated once the Grand Slam was completed and his 2026 title defense followed shortly after. Then there's Scottie Scheffler. The story becomes even more notable when Scottie Scheffler's career trajectory is factored in, because his rise through the sport has happened at an unusually fast pace. At the beginning of 2026, Scheffler won the American Express. That victory marked his 20th PGA Tour win, and he reached that milestone in just his 151st PGA Tour start. Only Tiger Woods reached 20 PGA Tour victories faster than Scheffler, doing so in 95 starts. That comparison places Scheffler in a very small statistical group. He was not simply winning tournaments at a high rate. He was reaching career milestones at a pace that put him in the same conversation as Tiger Woods' own early career numbers. By 2026, Scheffler had also joined an extremely exclusive financial group within the sport. He became one of only 3 golfers to surpass $100 million in PGA Tour career prize money, joining Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy as the only members of that specific group. That accomplishment is significant on its own. But the most striking part of Scheffler's recent career has not been the total prize money. It has been the week-to-week consistency behind it. Scheffler turned professional in 2018, which means he reached the $100 million mark in prize money in fewer years on tour than either of the 2 men he joined in that group. That timeline is a central reason his name keeps appearing in the same sentence as Tiger Woods, even though the 2 players' careers took place in very different periods of the sport's financial history. The streak that showed Scheffler's dominance. At one stretch of his career, Scheffler put together a run of 18 consecutive top 10 finishes on the PGA Tour. That streak ended in February 2026 with a tie for 12th at the Genesis Invitational. Even with that streak ending, 18 straight top 10 finishes remains an extraordinary number within the modern era of the sport. That streak was 6 finishes longer than the next best streak recorded in that statistic, according to Golf Digest. This detail matters directly in any comparison to Tiger Woods, because winning tournaments outright is only one measure of dominance. Staying near the top of the leaderboard week after week represents a separate and demanding level of consistency. A streak of 18 consecutive top 10 finishes means that across roughly half a competitive season, Scheffler did not finish outside the top 10 in a single PGA Tour start he entered. That level of week-to-week reliability is rare even among the sport's most accomplished players, and it is part of why statisticians and analysts began drawing direct comparisons between Scheffler's early career numbers and Tiger Woods' own record during his most dominant seasons. Golf does not offer the volume of competitive opportunities that other professional sports provide across a season. A single poor tournament can significantly damage a player's position on tour. A single poor stretch of holes within one round can cost a player millions of dollars in potential earnings. Despite those risks, Scheffler repeatedly placed himself in contention across an extended stretch of tournaments. That level of statistical consistency is part of why comparisons to Tiger Woods have continued to surface around Scheffler's name, not because anyone has declared him equal to Tiger, but because the numbers themselves have become historically unusual for the modern era. The 2026 Masters Chapter. The 2026 Masters brought both storylines directly into contact with one another. Rory McIlroy and Scottie Scheffler competed against each other at the same major championship, with both players entering the tournament in strong positions. McIlroy entered as the defending champion from his 2025 win. Scheffler entered as one of the most significant threats in the entire field. By Sunday, both players were in direct contention for the title. McIlroy ultimately won the tournament by 1 stroke. Scheffler finished in second place. The result carried significance beyond that single week of competition. It served as another indication that these two players are becoming the defining figures of this current era of professional golf. McIlroy now holds 6 major championships in his career. Scheffler holds 4. Both players have already accumulated large portions of accomplished careers, and both still have a considerable amount of competitive golf ahead of them at their current ages. The 2026 Masters was also notable for how it played out over the closing holes. Both McIlroy and Scheffler were within range of the lead heading into the final stretch of the tournament, and the margin between first and second place came down to a single stroke by the time the round concluded. That kind of finish, between two players who now occupy the second and third positions on the sport's active earnings list behind Tiger Woods, added another data point to the ongoing comparison between their two careers. Who reaches Tiger first? The central question surrounding these two careers is straightforward to state but far more complicated to answer: who will pass Tiger Woods on the career money list first? Rory McIlroy holds the advantage of experience. He has competed on the PGA Tour for many years, he currently sits at number 2 on the career money list, and his earnings have been built over a long stretch of consistently elite performance across different eras of his career. Scottie Scheffler represents a different kind of case. He is younger than McIlroy, and he has accumulated an extremely large amount of prize money within a comparatively short span of his career so far. In July 2026, Woods had approximately $120.999 million in career earnings. McIlroy had approximately $116.447 million. Scheffler had approximately $116.364 million. That means both players were roughly $4.5 million behind Tiger Woods at that point. That is a notably small gap when measured against the size of Tiger's historical lead over the rest of the sport for so many years. Because both McIlroy and Scheffler remain active, competing players, that specific gap has the potential to close relatively quickly depending on how the remainder of their seasons unfold. But there's a huge catch. There is an important detail that should not be overlooked when comparing these numbers directly. Career earnings are not a perfectly reliable way to compare golfers across different generations of the sport. The reason for that comes down to how significantly prize money in professional golf has grown over time. Today's tournaments offer considerably larger purses than many of the events that took place during the early portion of Tiger Woods' career. As a result, current players are competing within a financial structure that provides far greater earning opportunities per event than existed decades ago. That circumstance does not diminish the achievements of Scheffler's or McIlroy's generation. It does, however, complicate any direct historical comparison based purely on total dollar figures. Purses across the PGA Tour's biggest events have increased substantially over the past decade, driven in part by increased sponsorship investment, media rights growth, and competition from rival golf tours that emerged during this period. A single win at a top-tier event in 2026 can pay out several times what a comparable win paid during the early 2000s. That structural shift means a modern player can accumulate career earnings at a faster rate than a player from an earlier era, even with a similar number of tournament victories. There is a separate factor worth acknowledging as well. Tiger Woods was not only a golfer during his prime years. He functioned as a broader phenomenon within the sport. His influence extended into television ratings, sponsorship deals, equipment sales, and the overall global popularity of golf during his most dominant years. Because of that wider impact, even if Rory McIlroy or Scottie Scheffler eventually pass Tiger on the career money list, that outcome by itself would not automatically place them ahead of him in terms of overall legacy within the sport. The money list documents one specific record. A player's broader legacy within the sport is measured through separate and additional criteria. Rory versus Scottie. This is part of what makes the ongoing comparison between McIlroy and Scheffler particularly interesting to follow. Their playing styles differ substantially from one another. McIlroy plays with one of the more explosive driving games among his generation of professionals. When his swing is functioning at its best, he is capable of making a golf course appear noticeably different than it does for other competitors. Scheffler's game operates with a more methodical approach. His ball striking, his approach play into greens, and his consistent ability to avoid major mistakes on the course have made him a difficult opponent to beat across a full tournament. Despite these differing styles, both players have repeatedly arrived at the same destination within the sport, the top of professional golf's leaderboards and rankings. At the 2026 Masters specifically, McIlroy beat Scheffler by a single stroke. That result captured the current state of their rivalry in a direct way. Two superstars, two distinctly different playing styles, one championship on the line, and now, potentially, one historical financial record sitting between both of them and Tiger Woods' current position at the top of the money list. The record may not be safe for long. A larger question follows directly from these numbers. What happens if both McIlroy and Scheffler continue performing at their current level across the coming seasons? If McIlroy eventually passes Tiger's total, and Scheffler subsequently passes McIlroy's total, the PGA Tour's career money record could change hands multiple times within a relatively short window. Tiger Woods has held the top position on this list for an extended period, spanning multiple generations of competitors entering and progressing through the sport. Eventually, most long-standing records face the same underlying pressures. New players continue to enter professional golf. Prize money across tournaments continues to grow year over year. Careers, on average, continue to extend in length due to advances in training, recovery, and course management. Over time, these combined factors allow newer numbers to approach and eventually catch up to older ones. Tiger's record, which appeared effectively untouchable for a long stretch of years, is now within a measurable and closing distance. The Tiger question. There remains one question that these financial figures alone cannot answer: can any current player fully replicate what Tiger Woods accomplished across his entire career? That question extends well beyond earnings and touches the full scope of his competitive record. Tiger Woods won 15 major championships across his career. He won 82 PGA Tour events, a total tied for the all-time record in Tour history. He spent extended stretches of multiple seasons ranked the world #1 golfer, and his influence changed multiple dimensions of the sport itself, from broadcast viewership to sponsorship structures. Rory McIlroy currently holds 6 major championships. Scottie Scheffler currently holds 4. Both players still have years of competitive golf remaining in their respective careers, giving them additional opportunities to add to those totals. Matching Tiger Woods' complete career resume, across every major statistical category, would require an extended run of exceptional performance from either player over many additional seasons. Woods also spent extended periods as the #1 ranked golfer in the world across multiple separate stretches of his career, a distinction that is measured independently from both career victories and career earnings. Reaching a similar level of sustained world ranking dominance would require McIlroy or Scheffler to hold the top position continuously across several seasons, something neither player has yet done for a comparable length of time. Given that context, the more relevant question forming around both of their careers may not be whether either player can become the next Tiger Woods. It may instead be which of the two men ends up defining the next era of professional golf on his own terms. Based on their performances through 2026, Rory McIlroy and Scottie Scheffler currently represent the two strongest cases for answering that question. Tiger Woods built a career money record over more than 2 decades of competition, one that appeared, for a significant period, to be effectively out of reach for the rest of the sport. Two current players now sit within a closing distance of that total while still actively competing at the highest level of professional golf. Rory McIlroy holds the experience and tenure advantage. Scottie Scheffler holds the advantage of pace, having reached comparable financial milestones in a shorter competitive window. Both are already major champions with double-digit tournament wins on tour. Both remain active competitors with additional seasons still ahead of them. The specific numbers: $120.999 million for Woods, $116.447 million for McIlroy, and $116.364 million for Scheffler, as of July 2026, indicate that the gap separating all three players is smaller than it has been at almost any prior point during Tiger Woods' time atop the list. Every additional PGA Tour event that McIlroy and Scheffler enter carries the potential to shift that gap further, and depending on how the remainder of the 2026 season and the following seasons unfold, the identity of the sport's all-time career money leader could change within a relatively short window of competitive golf.